Chapter 1051 Blood Asura Clan. Chapter 1051 Blood Asura Clan. The Blood Asura clan was located on towering mountains dotted with numerous palace lofts. It was a pleasing sight that displayed just how majestic the clan was. Is this the home to one of four great clans? Blood Asura clan. Jianghu followed Su Ro into the clan, his gaze darting around to take in his surroundings. This clan, along with the ancient demon clan, was the strongest out of the four great clans. Asura Lord. Greetings, Asura Lord. They stumbled across numerous clansmen along the way, all of whom possessed great physical strength. But when they saw Su Ro, they would salute her, their absolute deference coming from the bottom of their hearts. Asura Lord was essentially an existence equivalent to an emperor in the Blood Asura clan. When Jianghu arrived in front of a tall mountain, he heard a whooshing sound as multiple silhouettes flitted before him in a straight line. The leader was an elderly woman dressed in a gray robe. The woman had a wizened face and graying hair on the temples, but her eyes were bright and energetic. Celestial Master? Jianghu's heart jolted. He thought to himself that this was indeed one of the great clans. Their strength as a clan was truly commendable. It must be known that Su Ro relied on the Eye of Asura to get a Celestial Master expert under her control. The existence of this elderly woman meant the clan had at least 2 Celestial Master experts and might even have more. Asura Lord. The elderly woman made a subtle salute at Su Ro. Great Elder Lin Li, did something happen? Su Ro stared at her dully. I heard that you left with a group of experts earlier. I wonder what's so important that you must personally make your move, the elderly woman, Great Elder Lin Li, inquired. Something happened earlier, but it's already resolved. You can rest assured, Great Elder, Su Ro replied emotionlessly. Oh. Lin Li gave a small nod and refrained from asking any further. She couldn't help glancing at Jianghu behind Su Ro. Asura Lord, who is this person next to you? He's my brother Jianghu, Su Ro replied. Greetings, Great Elder Jin Li, Jianghu said with a smile. Jianghu. Lin Li's pupils shrunk. You're Jianghu? You're the one whom Patriarch of Empyrean Glory offered a huge reward for and offended the entire ancient demon clan not long after? That's me. Jianghu gave a helpless smile. Lin Li's face turned grave. Asura Lord, Jianghu's head is wanted by Patriarch of Empyrean Glory and the ancient demon clan. It won't do our clan any favors to bring him here. You worry too much, Great Elder, Su Ro replied. The grudge between Third Brother and Patriarch of Empyrean Glory has already been solved. Third Brother has also confronted the ancient demon clan and the situation isn't as bad as you describe it to be. Is that so? Lin Li frowned. She had only heard about Patriarch of Empyrean Glory hunting Jianghu down, but not what happened afterward. If you don't have anything to add, I'll be leaving. Without bothering to engage in idle chatter with Lin Li, Su Ro continued moving forward with Jianghu behind her. The two of them trod upon the void above the Blood Asura clan side by side. The experts under Su Ro's control had been dismissed. Fourth sister, what's up with that woman Lin Li? There's something odd about the way she looked at you earlier, Jianghu asked. Lin Li appeared to be harboring complex emotions while talking to Su Ro earlier. Though she hid it well, Jianghu was still able to notice it. It's normal. Su Ro laughed, looking as if she was used to it. Third Brother, there's something you don't know about our clan. Here there are 3 people with the top positions and influences. The first is my master, the Supreme Elder, as well as the top expert of our clan. His word carries enormous weight here and no one dares go against him. The second is the woman you met earlier, Great Elder Lin Li. Being a Great Elder, she naturally commands significant authority. Moreover, my master typically doesn't show interest in the clan's affairs and she's the one who's responsible for most things. The third and last one is me. Su Ro smiled faintly as she continued. Our clan attaches greater importance to bloodline purity than other clans in the Samsara continent. In fact, at our clan's peak many years ago, our influence envelopes the entire Greenfire world and even many parts of the ancient world. This results in the Blood Asura bloodline being found in every corner of the Greenfire world. Our clan typically doesn't concern itself with those who inherited our bloodline, allowing them to live and die as they please. They've even forgotten that there are clansmen as well. But should there someone among them who has awakened an exceptionally pure bloodline, our clan will have a way of detecting it. We will then immediately retrieve this pure-blooded clansman. I'm one of those people who live in the branch families of the clan. Back when I first awakened my bloodline in the ancient world and the Eye of Asura, the clan had also immediately detected my existence. Thus, my master came personally to retrieve me. The purity level of my awakened bloodline is so high that I'm considered the one and only with such bloodline in the clan. Coupled with the Eye of Asura, my master easily made up his mind to make me Asura Lord. Asura Lord is equivalent to the position of the Emperor of the Blood Asura clan. Under ordinary circumstances, even my master has to listen to my orders. Naturally, Linley has to follow my command as well. Su Ro hesitated momentarily before continuing. Before this, Linley basically commanded an absolute authority over the clan. However, my existence robbed her of all of her power. Of course, she wouldn't feel happy about it and bear grievances against me. I see. Jian Wushuang nodded. He finally understood why Su Ro had left all those years ago and why she had become Asura Lord in just a short span of 2,000 years. Fourth sister, it's been 2,000 years ago since we last met. Now you're doing far better than us three older brothers, he said, sighing with emotion. Did eldest brother and second brother come to the Green Fire world as well? Su Ro asked. Yes, Jian Wushuang said, nodding. He then chuckled. They're now in the Tang of the east of the Void Continent. Once I've clarified some of my personal affairs, I'll take you there and we can finally reunite. Great. Su Ro smiled. All right. Why did you come to the Samsara continent and even get yourself into trouble with Patriarch of Empyrean Glory and the ancient demon clan? Well, here is the thing, Jian Wushuang gave her a brief and simple explanation. Chapter 1052 Special Person. Chapter 1052 Special Person. Su Ro couldn't help sighing after hearing Jian Wushuang's story. So that's what happened. Your father became a reincarnator? She knew how cruel the cultivation of a reincarnator was. I've already requested the help of Elder Ding Yamo of the Samsara Temple to find my father several days ago. I think I'll get an answer in a few days, Jian Wushuang said. I'm sure an elder of the inner hall of the temple would definitely help you find your father, Su Ro replied. Let's hope so. Inside a large courtyard halfway up the mountain housed the Blood Asura clan. Third brother, please make this your home for the moment and take your time to recuperate. If you need anything, feel free to call for me, Su Ro said. All right. Jian Wushuang made a small nod. He wouldn't be overly courteous to her. Su Ro soon took leave. Now Jian Wushuang alone sat upright beside a stone table. Jian Wushuang, as for Jiuxiu, what do you plan to do with him? Gu Qing's voice suddenly resounded. Jiuxiu. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes, his gaze landing on Jiuxiu, who was being suppressed inside his sword mountain. Jiuxiu sure is stubborn. I triggered all the restrictions within the sword and tormenting him for so long, but he's still refusing to talk. Jian Wushuang's gaze was steely. That's only natural. The current restrictions are useless and I've no way of triggering anything stronger at the moment. Moreover, Celestial Master Dong Ming said that it'll do Mother good to keep Jiuxiu alive. I don't know if he's telling the truth, but then again, I'm not in a hurry to kill him. I'll just keep him suppressed in the Sword Mountain then. Jian Wushuang was feeling helpless as well. He had planned to force Jiuxiu to reveal his mother's whereabouts. However, the latter refused to speak. There was nothing he could do about it. Now, all I can do is wait for Elder Ding Mo's news. Jian Wushuang immediately started healing his injuries while waiting for news from Elder Ding Yamo. Several days later, Ding Yamo finally contacted him. Jian Wushuang, I heard you escape unscathed after Patriarch of Empyrean Glory and Celestial Master Dong Ming of the ancient demon clan teamed up to hunt you. How powerful. He had already caused such a great commotion after being pursued in the first place. Later on, he made a bet with Patriarch of Empyrean Glory and survived 3 of his attacks head-on in front of such a large audience. Naturally, the news spread far and wide. Of course, Ding Yamo, as an elder of the inner hall of the Samsara Temple, would hear about it. Just a stroke of good luck. Moreover, Asura Lord showed up and helped me tide over this crisis. Otherwise, Jian Wushuang said, imagining the possible outcome. Asura Lord of the Blood Asura clan? TSK. I never thought you'd share such a friendship with her, Ding Yamo said. Elder Ding Yamo, I'm sure you're contacting me because you've made progress in my request? Jian Wushuang went straight to the point, giving Ding Yamo no chance to waste time on idle chatter. You're right. Moreover, I'm sure it ought to be good news to you, Ding Yamo replied. Good news? Jian Wushuang was initially overjoyed, but a frown colored his expression just as quickly. What do you mean, ought to? I used my authority to begin investigating, starting from your next of kin's origins and the time period in which he became a reincarnator. I did found someone matching the description, Ding Imo began to explain. Did you find him? Jian Wushuang's heart tightened. Calm down, Ding Imo said. I did discover the existence of such a person. But the odd thing is that I only found the information on him before he became the rank 5 reincarnator and below, but not those above. Yet my investigation reveals that he isn't one of the current rank 5 reincarnators of the Samsara Temple. What do you mean? Jian Wushuang frowned. What did it mean that he could only find the information before this man became rank 5 reincarnators and below but not those above? Did this mean that my father failed in the rank 5 reincarnator test and die? He's not dead. If he hadn't survived the test, his information would have been completely obliterated. He currently has information available to rank 5 reincarnators but not those above, yet he himself isn't among the rank 5 reincarnators of the Samsara Temple. If this happens in the Samsara continent, there's only one explanation for it, Ding Imo said solemnly. What is it? Jian Wushuang immediately asked. He's a special person who means a great deal or poses a great function for the Samsara Temple, Ding Imo said. Special person? Jian Wushuang was stunned. There is a very rare group of people in the Samsara Temple. They're so special that the temple holds them in the highest of regards. So information about them is top secret. Not even an elder of the inner hall like me has the right to read it. As far as I know, there are currently no more than 10 of such special persons in the Samsara Temple. It serves to reason that your family member should be one of them. Ding Mo's voice was rather solemn. Each special person of the Samsara Temple is equivalent to a precious treasure. In terms of status, they were much more important than a mere elder of the inner hall like me. I see, Jian Wushuang said, his expression also becoming strange. So my father is a special person whom the Samsara Temple attaches much importance to. Jian Wushuang, the reason why I say that it's a good news to you is that such special persons would be very well protected. Under ordinary circumstances they'd never die. Since your family member is a special person, he ought to be living well and even has a higher status than me in the Samsara Temple, Ding Imo continued. I understand. Thank you very much, Elder Ding Imo. Jian Wushuang heaved a sigh, a smile finally emerging on his face. Even though Ding Imo didn't manage to find his father's whereabouts, the former nevertheless still told him one piece of good news. If father truly holds a high status in the Samsara Temple, he must be fairly influential. I caused such a great commotion in the divine demon domain, so maybe he has already heard of it. Who knows if he's already making plans to come and find me? Jian Wushuang said with a smile, joy buoying his heart. Once the communication was over, Jian Wushuang went to look for Su Ro. Fourth sister, I need your help, he said. Your business is my business. Don't be so polite. Su Ro smiled at him. She had always considered him as her biological brother. He chuckled and no longer tried to be courteous. I need you to use your influence to keep an eye on the top experts of the Samsara Temple and see if any of them resemble my father. Moreover, there's the ancient demon clan as well. Since their clan and yours are the two top clans among the 4 great clans, I'm sure there are a lot of explicit and covert fights going on each day, so much so that both clans know each other well. I need you to help me investigate my mother's whereabouts in the ancient demon clan. Chapter 1053 120 Years. Chapter 1053, 120 Years. That is simple. Su Ro agreed heartily. The tasks of keeping an eye for any high-leveled warriors of the Samsara Temple or seeking out information of Jian Wushuang's mother from the ancient demon clan were hardly difficult for the Blood Asura clan. There is another matter. A thin smile lined across Jian Wushuang's face. As one of the greatest tribes of the Samsara continent, the Blood Asura clan must have birthed a great many experts skilled in using the sword. Surely there are plenty of manuscripts or manuals left by these powerful forefathers of your clan. That is true. We do indeed have many manuscripts and manuals on swordplay. Su Ro nodded. With your permission, I would like to borrow them for my study. They will all be returned safely before I leave. I shall gladly pay the price of this favor, Jian Wushuang said. Focused intently only in the study of wielding the sword, Jian Wushuang has yet only reached the universe level despite having been inspired to create 3 new sword principles of his own. The three sword principles of his own creation still has a great room for improvement. A flaw which could only be improved by conducting more research with the manuscripts left by the powerful swordsmen of old. That will not matter. These are but old and dusty books. I will have them brought to you if you have need of them. There shall be no need for any repayment for the favor. Su Rou remarked with a smile. With a twitch of his eyebrows, Jian Wushuang nodded graciously. Su Rou then took her leave to make the arrangements. Does this mean that you intend to stay here for now, Jian Wushuang? The Gu King asked. Indeed. Jian Wushuang nodded. I have done all I could for now. With no need for hastiness, I might as well stay here to find ways to improve myself. I would have not had to worry so much, and I would never have to try by means of Jiuxiu if only I have greater strength. I could have easily gotten all answer to my questions by going directly to the lair of the ancient demon clan. That is true. Power is everything in this domain. Your present strength puts you at merely a hair's breadth away from most holy masters. And when you have found ways to enhance any one of your sword principles to the creation level and heighten your ancient god power, you will possess the true battle strength of a holy master. And then you will reign supreme throughout the green fire world. The Gu King illustrated smilingly. That is so. Jiang Wushuang remarked, smiling himself. Before long, the manuscripts about various sword principles reached Jian Wushuang's doorsteps. They have been delivered as charged by Su Rou. With a long and illustrious history, the Blood Asura clan has an extensive collection of manuscripts left behind by the many swordsmen of the past. There were some which were of foreign origins, procured and kept by the clan till now. The sword principle manuals were mostly on the newly created disciplines devised by the swordsmen of the clan. The disciplines were hardly complex nor powerful, yet they each have their own distinctive features. These were, nonetheless, painstaking and meticulous creations by the hands of their authors. Damn. There are 188 types of sword principles here in amongst the manuscripts which have been delivered to me, all fully recorded in detail. The eyes of Jian Wushuang blushed with surprise and joy. Despite seemingly ordinary and yet diverse in nature, the 188 sword principles was, in fact, the very thing required by Jian Wushuang to perfect his mastery in coalescent sword principle. It is through the multitudes of diverse styles of the sword, he has to learn the ability to assimilate them all into one unified style. The artistry of coalescing different and varying sword principles into one single entity. It was from henceforth Jian Wushuang began his stay amongst the clan of Blood Asura, studying on his own in the courtyard of his lodgings, delving intently into the secrets and teachings of swordsmanship and the many sword principles before him. None of the Blood Asura clan would be hostile towards him, for he was a guest of the Asura lord of the clan. Su Rou would come occasionally to visit. But at most times life was quiet and tranquil there. And from the peace and quiet, Jiang Wushuang was able to enjoy himself as he focused all his thoughts on improving his own skills. Time passed swiftly and unnoticed. In a mere blink of an eye, 120 years have fleeted by. In a chamber of the palace of the Blood Asura clan drenched in darkness and held by a restrictive magical barrier, a large, circular table sat in the middle of the hall. The dark silhouettes of figures could be seen sitting at the table. Perched in the main seat, was the great elder Lin Li of the Blood Asura clan. Tomorrow is the supreme council of our clan, the council which is held every 1,000 years. The girl would most certainly be present, and she will demand that I relinquish my control of the Asura guards. Lin Li's eyes flashed dangerously with malice in the darkness. The girl's presence has slowly been smothering what is left of our powers all these years. We have almost nothing now. The command of the Asura guards is the strongest card in my hand. To surrender it would only render us weak and helpless before her. The darkened figures of the elders of the clan stirred uneasily at her words, obviously displeased with the envisaged outcome. These were the closest associates of Lin Li, all of whom looked up to him as their chief and captain. Even now, despite his diminishing authority, they have and would remain steadfast by his side. They knew well, with the emergence of Asura Lord, the Lord now has assumed command and control of the affairs of the clan. This had culminated in the unmistakable pruning and trimming which have usurped Lin Li of much of her authority. This was hardly debatable, as Asura Lord has been showered with love by the people of the clan. Yet there remain certain cliques, namely Lin Li's, within Asura Lord's court which have been displeased by this. That is but a mere sapling that has not even reached the age of 2000. I only fear that our clan may one day be hunted and slaughtered by the ancient demon clan or the other two greater clans if this decadence continues. I really have not the foggiest of what the old Su Qian is thinking of. Lin Li said frostily. Su Qian was the teacher of Su Ro, who was also the most powerful upper elder of the blood Asura, one whose words bore great weight within the clan. But he had left the clan more than 1,000 years ago, embarking on a pilgrimage that has yet to see its end. But if Su Qian has been at the side of Su Ro, Lin Li would never dare to voice her discontent, nor would she dare to devise any devious schemes for a coup. But as Su Qian remained elusive, Lin Li's insolence grew, as had her thirst for power. I have been able to ward off the extending tendrils of her ambition when she had demanded for the control of the Asura guards in the Supreme Council 1,000 years ago. I had cited her inexperience in the affairs of the clan and her unfamiliarity with the state of the Samsara continent as reasons for my refusal. I am afraid it may not be easy now to avert her away. Lin Li remarked darkly. I will need a good and solid reason to deny her again. Did we not have a guest amongst us? An outsider who has been invited here by Asura Lord, Great Elder? One of the elder champions of the clan asked. You mean Jianghu Shuang? Lin Li's eyes twinkled suddenly. Indeed, I have almost forgotten about him. It is known that Jianghu Shuang has a great many enemies, including the Empyrean Patriarch and the ancient demon clan who had once tried to hunt him down. I believe we may use this as a pretense since we of the Blood Asura clan have always been at odds with the ancient demon clan. With pretenses such as this, coupled with a few comments about the failings of the girl, I will refuse her request to surrender the control of the Asura guards. Chapter 1054, The Summons. Chapter 1054, The Summons. The Supreme Council of the Blood Asura clan, the most important council which convened every 1,000 years, began the following day. Sitting in the courtyard of the lodging perched at the middle of a hill, Jianghu Shuang was alone, enjoying his wine as a smile broke out on his face. Never have I thought that the Chaos Gold Bead would have such powers. It is not even 200 years and yet I have already achieved the peak strength of the 3-star ancient god. Jianghu Shuang reveled jubilantly. That is a Chaos Gold Bead, an extremely invaluable treasure even in the eternal chaotic world. And even that alone could not fully illustrate its greatness. Then again, I myself did not expect that you could reach the pinnacle of the 3-star in just 2 centuries. It must have something to do with the methods in which you trained. The Gu King muttered. The methods of inverse cultivation is really unique indeed that it is completely of another level. Most other 3-star ancient gods would have needed at least 1 millennium to fully consume a Chaos Gold Bead. To think that you took only 2 centuries and you are almost at the end of your undertaking. Jianghu Shuang smiled without saying anything. Out of the few treasures that he had acquired from Dao Yuanzi, the Chaos Gold Bead was the most effective item that has been a great boon to his improvements. In the past century, Jianghu Shuang has been absorbing the essence of the Chaos Gold Bead to enhance his ancient god power. Now Jianghu Shuang has absorbed 2/3 Ophal essence of the Chaos Gold Bead. His ancient god power has risen to the pinnacle of 3 stars. The level of the 3-star ancient god ranked atop common man and ancient gods, wielding strength greater than even that of the Dao Masters at the peak of rank 3. I have been meticulously studying the sword principle manuscripts of the Blood Asura clan for the past century. There have been breakthroughs in my mastery of swordsmanship. Added with the improvements of my ancient god power, my overall strength is a lot greater now. Despite still being of the level of the eternal realm, I believe I might even have the strength to compete with a holy master. Jianghu Shuang added with a smile. You jest. Although I can only speak for myself, but you can hardly be viewed as one of the eternal realm anymore. Even in the eternal chaotic world, you will also be treated as a Dao master. Then again, there are many more practitioners and warriors whose powers could easily dwarf yours in the wide domain of the eternal chaotic world. The Gu King remarked indignantly. That I know too. Surely there is no need for such harsh words. Jianghu Shuang smiled and replied. Leeching himself into Jianghu Shuang's body, the Gu King and Jianghu Shuang had become the best of friends. Thus their conversations discussed many things, bringing them closer than ever. Ah yes. I know that I have to discover a path of my own to reach the level of Dao Master, and I now possess the necessary requirements to achieve the breakthrough whenever I want to. But what are the differences between the levels of Dao Master and Holy Master, Gu King? Jianghu Shuang asked his companion. With only enemies of the Holy Master level wielding enough strength that would pose as threats to him now, Jianghu Shuang would definitely want to know as much as he could about the level of the Holy Master. Holy Masters are also Dao Masters in essence. But holy masters have to apply their each individual paths of awareness into the shaping of their very own dharmic bodies of true invincibility. To apply one's own singular path unto oneself to shape one's own dharmic body of true invincibility? The revelation had Jian Wushuang taken aback by surprise as he remembered of the two holy masters he once fought against. During his battle against the patriarch of the Xia clan, Xia Yong, and the Empyrean patriarch, they had employed the use of two distinctly varying types of energies. Yet the two energies were able to fuse and coalesce perfectly together. That might have been the effects that had followed after one had embodied two different paths of martial awareness. Everything will have to return to the initial when you have reached the level of Holy Master. The many sword principles which you have devised on your own and the two original bodies of yours will all be embodied as one singular existence of you. The Gu King said to him. What? Jian Wushuang uttered in surprise. Even my two original bodies will have to be fused together? His two original bodies have been a great help to him all these while. It was hardly a surprise that Jian Wushuang would feel sorry for not having them both anymore. This is a step both necessary and unavoidable, the Gu King commented dryly. Jian Wushuang gave a bitter laugh, for he himself was also aware of that. There was no other option for him. He would have to embody both of his original bodies as one in order to achieve greater heights. Just then, whoosh, whoosh. Two shadowy figures appeared out of nowhere, landing within the courtyard. Jian Wushuang. The strangers were fully cloaked in gray. From their aura, Jian Wushuang could sense that they have reached the level of Tao Master. Clearly, they were amongst the greatest warriors of the Blood Asura clan. How can I help you, masters? Jian Wushuang turned and looked at them. The great elder of our clan, Lin Li, has summoned for your presence at once. A cold, masculine voice came from one of the two disguised strangers. Oh. Jian Wushuang's brows raised quizzically. For 120 years, Jian Wushuang has resided quietly and undisturbed in this abode of peace. No one has ever come to disrupt that peace, save for Su Ro, who has been coming to visit him occasionally. But suddenly today the great elder Lin Li has sent for him? Despite his suspicions, Jian Wushuang rose to his feet nevertheless. Lead the way, gentlemen. Jian Wushuang assented with a smile. Led by the two cloaked figures, Jian Wushuang began walking towards a hill which sat at the center of the city of the Blood Asura clan. Roost upon the great mound of the hill was a great hall. At its top alighted a handsome and richly chamber which was black in color and oval in shape. This chamber was the venue where the Supreme Council convened. The two cloaked strangers led Jian Wushuang into the expanse of the black chamber. We have Jian Wushuang, great elder. The male voice came again, and the two strangers retreated out of sight. Jian Wushuang stood alone in the middle of the space, as he took in the sight before him with interest. There was a huge round table before him. About 20 figures, obscured by shadows, seated at the table, each of them wielded strong and powerful auras. Yet, it was evident to him that the figures were separated into three different cliques. One of them was led by Su Ro, the Asura lord of the clan. It was a group of 6 to 7 people. There was another faction, led by the great elder Lin Li, with also the same number of supporters. The final clique of people would appear to be a faction not aligned to either side. But they had the most number of members at close to 10. Having extensive experiences himself, Jian Wushuang could immediately see that this was an internal strife between different factions of the Blood Asura clan. Third brother, Su Ro glanced at Jian Wushuang. He gave her a smile and walked towards her. In a hushed voice, he then asked her, "What is happening?" Su Ro gave him no verbal answer. Instead, she indicated to Lin Li with her head. Lin Li had been observing Jian Wushuang, the ends of her lips curling into a wicked smile. In an icy tone, her voice rumbled, "That is Jian Wushuang beside you, your majesty? I believe you are aware of his identity?" "Of course." Su Ro nodded. "And why have you kept him here in the clan when you have been aware of his identity?" Lin Li growled menacingly. "For all these years, the ancient demon clan have been hostile towards us of the Blood Asura clan. That is all because he is here. Moreover, there is also the Empyrean patriarch." Chapter 1055, Blinding Speed. Chapter 1055, Blinding Speed. We have never had any animosity with the Empyrean patriarch, nor have we sought revenge or retribution against each other. Yet not long ago, a Tao master of our clan had inadvertently offended one of his protectors. A most trivial issue. In most cases, the matter would at most be resolved with a minor penalty. But they have immediately executed that Dao master, showing no ounce of leniency nor mercy. It is evident that the Empyrean Patriarch harbors intense hate towards our clan. And all these came because of Jian Wushuang. Lin Li's voice rose like a thunder, her nostrils flaring with fury. Knowing that Jian Wushuang has a great many enemies thirsty for his blood, you have ill-advisedly decided to bring him here and have brought danger to our clan. And to shovel coal into the fire, I have had word that you have almost fought against the Empyrean Patriarch and the ancient demon clan. All for the sake of Jian Wushuang. This is nothing but folly and ignorance to endanger the fate of our clan for an alien. Her rousing words stirred even many elders of the clan, many of them who had been neutral. They frowned with dismay. I believe you have no authority towards me, Lin Li? Su Ro snarled ominously. My respects, your majesty. You are the holy emperor of the Asuras, the sacred imperator of our clan whom we all revere and obey. I of course have no authority over your conduct. But with respects, I am afraid that your methods are still boorish, your majesty. You still have much to learn. Lin Li sneered. Much you have blathered, only to conceal the fact that you refuse to relinquish control of the Asura guards. Su Ro taunted. Lin Li only snorted indignantly and said no more. Standing beside Su Ro, the exchange between her and Lin Li had not escaped Jian Wushuang's ears as he scoffed to himself with disgust. The ancient demon clan's animosity towards the Blood Asura clan stemmed from their rivalry as the two greatest tribes in the land. There has always been conspiracies and deceits between the two clans. Thus, it was of no surprise to him that the ancient demon clan had been preying on the Blood Asura clan. The Empyrean Patriarch and his men have always been known to be cruel and sadistic. It was also hardly surprising that any one of the Blood Asura clan would have been slain by them, more so for one who had incurred their wrath. These were incidents as common as the melting of snow. But the cunning Lin Li was trying to hang the blame of both misfortunes over his head. It would be apparent that she was trying to use this as a pretense to aggravate and inconvenience Su Ro. Understanding the true intentions of Lin Li, Jian Wushuang rose to his feet at once. Great Elder Lin Li, I confess that I have greatly inconvenienced the Blood Asura clan in the duration of my stay here. Hence, I am willing to repay the kindness shown to me and consider it as a recompensation for the pains that you have endured. Jian Wushuang declared as he produced an interspatial ring with a flick of his wrist. There are 30 chaos gems in this ring. I believe this should be adequate remuneration. 30 chaos gems? Jian Wushuang could feel himself transfixed by dozens of stares upon him. An examination into the contents of the ring was done, and immediately the chilly stares and glances he felt turned softened. 30 chaos gems. I must say I am impressed with your generosity, Master Jian. One of the elders muttered. Even the unfriendly eyes of Lin Li could not help but flash with a gleam of astonishment. But the great elder tried her best to maintain her composure and her frosty tone. 30 chaos gems. This, indeed, is a most valuable gift. But do you honestly believe that this compensation is fitting for the hardships you have caused to our clan, more notably the hatred of the Empyrean Patriarch and his minions? Oh. The twinkle in Jian Wushuang's eyes swiftly faded, only to be replaced by a cold fury suppressed within himself. I see. If the 30 gems are hardly enough, you say. What about this? And what may that be? The words escaped the lips of Lin Li before she could rein herself. But sitting beside Jian Wushuang, Su Ro shifted in her seat uneasily. None of the elders and warriors present in the chamber had expected that Jian Wushuang would dare unleash his powers in a convention so high and sacred. Boom! A huge and terrifying aura surged from within Jian Wushuang, pouring out with the force of a broken dam that the enormous round table broke asunder. Jian Wushuang hurled himself forward with blinding speed like a fleeting apparition. This had caught the entire congregation of elders unawares that they were frozen with shock. Third brother. Caught also by surprise, the colors left Su Ro's face. Never had she expected that Jian Wushuang would strike suddenly. The terrifying aura tore through the air, stabbing straight at Lin Li. But Lin Li was instead overcome by shock and anger. You insolent pup! How dare you! As a powerful holy master himself, Lin Li possessed quick reflexes, allowing her to react swiftly. The gleaming flash of an emerald-green blade flickered dangerously like a serpent striking at its prey. Silhouettes of falling petals rained around her with a frigid coldness that blanketed her surroundings as her sword pierced at Jian Wushuang charging towards him. the flow of time being suspended in stasis as she unleashed her retaliation. Whereas the Blood Mountain sword struck forth with the force and intensity of a lightning bolt hammering down from the sky. Clank! The two swords clashed and gnashed furiously, emitting a huge explosion of force that released fiery sparkles and ripped even the fabric of space. Such powers he wields, Lin Li regarded her foe with disbelief. She could feel the sheer strength contained within the strike unleashed by Jianghu Shuang, a strength that would hardly pale in comparison even to her, a holy master. You have commendable power and strength, but your skills are still lacking, Lin Li taunted. Really? Jianghu Shuang replied nonchalantly with an eerie grin. There was an anger flaring in his eyes. Burst? Jianghu Shuang roared loudly, his voice echoing loudly within the entire chamber. And immediately at his command, Jianghu Shuang's blade released the vast and terrifying power contained within it at once. A huge force swept like a tide towards Lin Li without warning. What? Lin Li's expression turned into one of shock and fear. He had imbued a secondary charge of raw power in his stroke, and a huge and powerful force at that. Lin Li's eyes widened with panic as she could feel the reverberations of the explosive force within Jianghu Shuang's sword. The raw energy transmitted from the blade off her sword, passing into her arm. With horrifying cracking of bursting flesh and viscera, Lin Li's arm was blown into bits and pieces. Her limb exploded in the blink of an eye, throwing shreds and bits of sinewy flesh and bones into the air as her emerald green sword flew out of her grasp and clattered harmlessly onto the floor. And Jianghu Shuang had wasted no time, appearing beside Lin Li abruptly. Off with you! With a rumbling growl filled with rage, Jianghu Shuang landed a strong kick onto Lin Li. Heavily traumatized and dazed, Lin Li was no longer able to defend herself as she was thrown off her feet and crashed forcefully into the floor. Bang! The floor cracked and shattered under her. Another strike came, hitting her so hard that she fell out of the building and rolled down the hill. Then came another strike, sending her off the middle of the hill down towards the foot of the hill. She crashed into a scarlet-colored palace, smashing the building that it too tumbled and collapsed. Whoosh! As Lin Li tumbled down the hill, Jianghu Shuang followed closely behind, appearing at the fallen ruins of the scarlet-colored palace. Lin Li was caught under the rubbles of the ruins, clambering to rise to her feet. Boom! A huge boulder, weighing at least hundreds of kilograms, slammed mercilessly into her chest, pinning her down on the ground. Ugh! Lin Li vomited a huge mouthful of blood. With most of her bones broken and shattered, she could no longer move and free herself from under the boulder. And a figure, clad in a blood-crimson robe, stood imperiously atop the boulder. The figure raised his feet which glowed in gold, ready to end the suffering of Lin Li, who was writhing with agonizing pain. Chapter 1056 Terror. Chapter 1056 Terror. Stop. Stay your hand. Angry cries and shoutings arose all around him. The experts of the council have caught up to them. All of them could hardly believe the sight of carnage and destruction laid out before them. Too fast. Everything from the beginning of Jianghu Shuang's sudden assault to the end of the skirmish when Lin Li was incapacitated beneath the huge boulder, had happened so quickly as the blink of an eye. Even Lin Li herself had not been able to fully respond to the abrupt onslaught of devastation beset upon her. Especially when Lin Li in particular, was a true holy master who wielded immense strength herself. How could a holy master of such power and stature fall so easily? Even though one could factor in the haste of Jianghu Shuang's sudden attack and Lin Li's overestimation of her own powers, one matter was invariably definitive: Jianghu Shuang's skills and prowess. How could it be possible? Preposterous. Despite being crushed under the rock and her life hanging on a thread, Lin Li roared and bellowed vainly. She had not expected Jianghu Shuang would dare strike so swiftly, nor had she knew that Jianghu Shuang had such strengths. Most exclusively that particular stroke. Not only was the stroke earlier exceptionally powerful, but it also held a secondary charge hidden within. The hidden charge had surged forth as a secondary force, erupting towards her without any sign or warning, and had annihilated her entire arm, crippling her instantly. And it was that hidden charge that was the actual terror that had been her undoing. With 120 years and the abundance of materials for my research, I have finally improved my powers greatly, most notably my mastery of the coalescent sword principle. With all the many different styles of sword principles unified as one, I have passed the universe level to reach the creation level. The powers of the creation level is indeed so much more powerful than that of the universe level. And as I assimilated the various sword principles laid out before me, I have also been searching for any suitable techniques for the swordplay of coalescence. The ruthlessness technique which I had created is strong, but it is too simple and direct. And now I have this, my new creation, the bladed surge. This newly designed stroke of mine is not only strong. There is a second charge, powerful and destructive in force, hidden in the first stroke. Then again, I have only the Empyrean Patriarch to thank for. It was he who had inspired me to create this technique. Jian Wushuang smiled. Despite having only endured 3 blows from the Patriarch himself, Jian Wushuang had vividly remembered all 3 blows unleashed upon him, especially the second technique. It was the second technique used by the Patriarch which had held a hidden charge within. It was the hidden charge which had injured him heavily. And it was this devastating stroke by the Patriarch that had spurred him to create the bladed surge technique. It was a stroke most savage and yet mystifying. With his mighty strength and Lin Li's own misjudgment, Jian Wushuang was able to soundly defeat Lin Li. What have you more to say, Great Elder Lin Li? Jian Wushuang looked down at her coldly from atop the huge boulder. But Lin Li was hardly able to answer as she spewed mouthful after mouthful of blood as she remained trapped under the boulder. Release the Great Elder, Jian Wushuang. Please, Jian Wushuang. The Great Elder has no intentions of offending nor infuriating you. Please stay your hand. The council elders and warriors of the Blood Asura clan implored him. Third brother. Su Ro called to him as well. But she had not pleaded mercy from him. Looking at the surrounding people around him, a thin smile broke upon Jian Wushuang's face. He had anticipated that these people would behave and react so. It is always the fist that does the talking, no matter where I am in this realm. Jian Wushuang remarked to himself with an amused expression. He full well knew that Lin Li was only using him as a pretext to subvert Su Ro's rule. But Jian Wushuang himself has no interest to bandy words with Lin Li. Thus he had elected to directly pummel Lin Li into submission. Action, after all, has always spoken louder than words. And with his might fully impressed into the minds of the elders of the council and Lin Li's life at his fingertips, none of them dared rashly provoke more vengeance from him, staying only at where they stood and urged for clemency. None of them dared to bare their fangs at him no more. This was the reign of terror upheld by Jian Wushuang. I confess that my stay here has indeed given you great dilemma and trouble. Moreover, I have borrowed the use of the resources of your clan. I am willing to repay your kindness with chaos gems. But there will be no tolerance towards anyone who intends to use me as a means of realizing their devious schemes. Jian Wushuang cast his fiery stare onto the people encompassing around the scene. This is, after all, a matter of your own clan. An internal strife between different factions which, in truth, concerns me not. But now that I have been involved, I will not sit quietly. More so, since the affair matters also my fourth sister. Lin Li. Jian Wushuang's icy glare descended upon Lin Li. By the pleas of my fourth sister and the rest of the Blood Asura clan, I have respectfully addressed you as Great Elder. But do not ever think that any impudence from you will be tolerated when the upper elder, Su Qian, who is also the esteemed teacher of my fourth sister, is absent from the clan. Anger me and I will not stay my blade any more. I have dared to incur the wrath of the Empyrean Patriarch and the ancient demon clan, and I will not shy away from infuriating one more. Especially when you hardly wield the strength to subdue me. Filled with ominous threats, Jian Wushuang's thunderous declaration echoed across the skies above the city of the Blood Asura clan. Silence lingered dismally over the group of surrounding elders and warriors, as well as the growing band of curious onlookers who have come over to watch. Every one of them knew full well that Jian Wushuang has spoken nothing but the cold and hard truth. Crushed under the boulder, Lin Li could neither raise any objections nor could she fight back. The strength of Jian Wushuang had frightened and tamed her. A strength that could easily smother the life out of her body. Jian Wushuang looked once more and studied the crowd around him. A thin smile broke upon his face at the realization that his tactic has succeeding in making a strong impression. He threw a look at Su Ro. Fourth sister. He called out to her and gave her a knowing look. Su Ro returned with a faint nod and walked up. Great Elder Lin Li. With your consent, I will assume control of the Asura guards. With a painful twitch of her mouth, Lin Li opened her mouth to speak. Yet no sound came from her. Does anyone else have anything to say? Su Ro turned to the rest of the council. The rest of the council shared a look amongst them and ultimately yielded, all of them rushing to bow with respects to Su Ro. As you command, your majesty. With that, Su Ro beamed delightedly. Jian Wushuang released Lin Li from under the huge boulder. The council was then adjourned and the crowd dispersed. Peace returned once more to the city of the Blood Asura clan. Chapter 1057, The Indigo-robed Man. Chapter 1057, The Indigo-robed Man. Jian Wushuang sat across from Su Ro in the front courtyard of his residence. Brother, thank you for that. Su Ro said. You're welcome. Besides, if I didn't get you in trouble with the Blood Asura clan, Lin Li wouldn't have been compelled to target you. Jian Wushuang replied smilingly. Humph, Lin Li. She held me in humble reverence when Master was here, but ever since Master left, she has been making things difficult for me in all respects. I wasn't strong enough or confident enough to offend her openly. However, with your help today, the Asura guards are now in my hands, and with my significant increase in power, she's not going to make any more trouble. Su Ro said with confidence. Jiang Wushuang saw a spark of ruthlessness in her eyes as she spoke. Sister, you've grown a lot over the years. Jian Wushuang proudly answered with a smile. He still remembered when he met Su Ro in the ancient world. Back then she was a shy little girl who was afraid to talk to strangers. But now her aura of her confidence filled the courtyard. Everyone has to grow up, but regardless of what changes, our relationship will always be the same. Su Ro said solemnly. That's good. Jian Wushuang answered, grinning. Oh brother. You had asked me to check the whereabouts of your mother in the ancient demon clan, and I sent someone to investigate. Not long ago he returned a message with some information. Su Ro said. Information. Jian Wushuang looked anxious. Yes, but it hasn't been confirmed yet. I think he will send me more exact information in a few days. Su Ro replied. Okay, as long as there is news. Jian Wushuang replied. He couldn't help but clench his hands at the expectations that were stirring deep within his heart. In anticipation of more information from Su Ro, Jian Wushan continued his stay in the Blood Asura clan, filling his time with meditation on the sword principle. Hundreds of miles away, there was an isolated mountain in the divine monster territory. The mountain was enormous, but otherwise seemed to be completely normal at first glance. Even common Dao masters flying over might fail to detect anything out of the ordinary. However, masters who were skilled in formation would undoubtedly realize its power. The mountain was encircled in a huge psychedelic formation. And inside it lay a smattering of palaces. This was the Samsara Temple, known as the most important branch in the divine monster territory. At present, a bright light shone from the center, a huge wormhole in the middle of the temple, followed by a figure. The figure who walked out was a handsome man dressed in a simple indigo robe. He had a little stubble and silvery long hair flowed over his shoulder. He was somewhat haggard, but his eyes still managed to be striking. They were as dark as gems and seemed to hold the endless void. There was no aura surrounding him, causing him to look quite ordinary. But with a closer look, every move he made caused a ripple in the world around him. As he appeared, many experts in the temple rushed over. Dozens of them were experts who held high positions in the temple, and the rest also held positions of influence. Among them were 10 gold-clothed deacons, and there were even 2 inner elders who were strong enough to be reincarnators of rank 8. These experts looked to the indigo-robed man with reverence and awe before greeting him together. Greetings, Your Highness. The indigo-robed man nodded with indifference and continued on into one of the towering palaces around them. Inside the palace, he sat on the largest throne, with the inner elders and gold-clothed deacons standing below him, respectfully. Occasionally, some of them would glance at him with admiration in their eyes. They all knew the greatness of the man in front of them. In the past 1,000 years, his actions had created one myth after another, each of which thrilled everyone present. Sitting on the throne, the indigo-robed man was thumbed through some papers. The papers held records of the events of the divine monster territory in recent years, the most detailed of which contained what befell the ancient demon clan. The indigo-robed man's expression shifted as he read about how the ancient demon clan worked with the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory to hunt down Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang. A strange expression appeared on his face before he demanded, "Bring me all the files on Jian Wushuang." Yes. One of the inner elders answered and was gone for just a moment before he returned with more papers. Jianghu Shuang had stirred up the Samsara continent, and his talent and strength were things to behold. The Samsara temple had investigated him thoroughly already and kept the subsequent files on hand. As he read the files on Jianghu Shuang, the corners of the Indigo-robed man's mouth turned up. It was him. The ancient demon clan and the patriarch of Empyrean glory failed to hurt him even when they worked together. Even better, he survived 3 attacks from the patriarch. Well, that's impressive. This is perfect timing for my next action. It would be great if he could lend a hand. The ancient demon clan. He sneered but then turned serious. He waved his hand, pulling out a gilded letter. Go and send this letter to all the populations in the divine monster territory, all the lone warriors, and anyone who has the ability to fight as fast as possible. He ordered in a loud voice. Below him, one inner elder took this letter immediately. As he opened the letter and read, his pupils dilated. The inauguration ceremony for new supervisor. Everyone in the palace gasped at his words. Shocked, they all looked to the indigo-robed man. They knew what great power the supervisor of the Samsara temple held, and the extent of the abilities needed to claim the title. The indigo-robed man in front of them would be the new supervisor? So soon? Chapter 1058, The Heaven-Ceasing Peak. Chapter 1058, The Heaven-Ceasing Peak. Deep within the Blood Asura clan. Whoosh! A white shadow flashed by as Jianghu Shuang stood still. The tall tree in front of him had been sliced through. No, this isn't right. Jianghu Shuang frowned. He had achieved the peak of his speed, but it was limited by the sword principle of universe level. It was far slower than the speed a sword principle of creation level could reach. In his sad attempts, he often even felt there was no purpose to his practice at all. I deciphered the essence of the swordplay of coalescence a long time ago, and to improve it, I only need to continue to assimilate new techniques. However, the swordplay of aurora and the swordplay of heat are quite different. I have to dig deeper and learn more for both. Jianghu Shuang murmured. Brother. Su Ro entered the yard as she spoke. You have something? Jianghu Shuang invited her to sit at the table. Yes, Su Ro answered and nodded. The expert of ours who infiltrated the ancient demon clan sent me a message saying he figured out where your mother is. He isn't completely sure, but he says there's a good chance. Tell me. Jianghu Shuang said hurriedly. Here is the thing, Su Ro started to explain. When he was first ordered to look for your mother, he investigated some experts of the ancient demon clan. Since your mother was captured by Ninth Sword Dao Master himself more than 2,000 years ago, it should have been easy to find more clues. Except after more than 100 years in the demon clan, he still has not managed to find anything. It seems that your mother never appeared in the ancient demon clan. He asked many other experts secretly, and they didn't even know that Ninth Sword Dao Master had been to the ancient world, much less capture anyone. The investigation was a dead end until he overheard some people talking about the Heaven-Ceasing Peak. The Heaven-Ceasing Peak? Jianghu Shuang asked in confusion. What is it? It's a strange, isolated place that terrifies most of the ancient demon clan. As a result, the clansmen are forbidden to enter it. Even if they try enter, many experts of the clan can't even approach it. Only the clansmen who committed terrible crimes or brought endless losses to the ancient demon clan can be imprisoned in the Heaven-Ceasing Peak. Ordinary criminals don't deserve such terrible punishment. Su Ro explained seriously. In all the years that the ancient demon clan has been in the Samsara continent, only 2 have been imprisoned in the Heaven-Ceasing Peak. One is the second clan leader of the ancient demon clan. He made a wrong decision, which resulted in the clan almost being driven from the Samsara mainland. After the crisis, he felt so guilty that he went to the Heaven-Ceasing Peak of his own will for 100 years. The other is the most famous traitor in the history of the ancient demon clan. He fled after killing his master and his parents, and many of the experts who were sent to capture him were also slaughtered. He was an insane great demon. It wasn't until the strongest expert of the clan defeated him that they imprisoned him in the Heaven-Ceasing Peak. He eventually died from the endless torture of the Heaven-Ceasing Peak. Hearing this, Jianghu Shuang became extremely serious. According to what Su Ro's account, the Heaven-Ceasing Peak would be a grave challenge. Sister, you mentioned the Heaven-Ceasing Peak. Is my mother? Jianghu Shuang asked worriedly. I was getting there, Su Ro replied gravely. Our expert heard that a woman was imprisoned in the Heaven-Ceasing Peak. No one knows who she is, where she came from or why she is imprisoned there. The only thing he managed to find out is that the woman was imprisoned in the heaven-ceasing peak about 2,000 years ago. Jian Wushuang's pupils shrank in his astonishment. Su Ro added, I know you said that mother should be special in the ancient demon clan, except not many of them know about her. Even though the origins of the woman locked in the heaven-ceasing peak are unknown, she was captured about 2,000 years ago, which matches the time frame you gave. That's why I think she may be your mother. Jian Wushuang stilled. He agreed with Su Ro's guess. The woman locked in the heaven-ceasing peak was most likely his mother. The heaven-ceasing peak, the heaven-ceasing peak. Jian Wushuang shouted, clenching his fists with an angry look. Brother, I have already checked on the heaven-ceasing peak for you. The ancient demon clan won't release her from their forbidden ground alive unless she entered it voluntarily. Su Ro said, her words heavy. However, what matters in this world is strength. When you're strong enough to overwhelm the ancient demon clan, they will release her at your simple demand. You're strong now but not strong enough. You must improve yourself until you are the most powerful man in the realm. I know. Jian Wushuang answered and nodded, unclenching his hands at the same time. He was angry and agitated when he thought of the heaven-ceasing peak, but he could not allow himself to be distracted. So he calmed himself down. He was powerful enough to hold his own against the ordinary holy masters, and he could defeat some of the lower-level ones such as Lin Li. However, he wasn't strong enough yet to fight against the entirety of the ancient demon clan. After all, they had 3 holy masters in total. The strongest of them had reached the highest level of cultivation and was even stronger than the Patriarch of Empyrean glory. At least I know where my mother is now. Now I just have to put more effort into becoming stronger. Only when I'm as strong as the Void Temple Master, the Samsara Temple Master or the Sunrise Sword Emperor can I attack the ancient demon clan and find my mother. All it takes is power. Jian Wushuang's eyes gleamed. Chapter 1059, A Shocking Invitation. Chapter 1059, A Shocking Invitation. Whoosh! A figure suddenly landed in the courtyard. It was an elder of the Blood Asura clan. Your Highness. He approached Su Ro and handed her a gilded invitation. He said respectfully, an invitation from the Samsara Temple. An invitation from the Samsara Temple? Confused, Su Ro took the letter and opened it. As she was reading, an expression of surprise flashed across her face. Sister, what does it say? Jian Wushuang asked. Leave us. Su Ro sent the elder away and turned to Jian Wushuang saying, it is an invitation from the Samsara Temple, asking us to send a representative for the inauguration ceremony of its new supervisor. Supervisor? Jian Wushuang asked in confusion, what is that? The supervisor of the Samsara Temple is a superb expert who has great power and influence, second only to the Samsara Temple Master. Reincarnators of rank 8 that are powerful enough to serve as influential inner elders must listen to the supervisor. The supervisor of the Samsara Temple, in a manner of speaking, is their leader. A supervisor must also be extremely powerful. Only reincarnators of rank 9 who have passed the final test are qualified to serve as the supervisor. As a result, qualified individuals are extremely rare. The Samsara Temple's test for reincarnators becomes more and more difficult as the rank grows. It is already extremely difficult for reincarnators of rank 8, and even holy masters are anxious at the tests for reincarnators of rank 9. Only superb holy masters are qualified for rank 9. The Samsara Temple has been developing in the Samsara continent for many years and so have its reincarnators. They've been competing with each other on the principle of survival of the fittest. So far, less than 5 people have become reincarnators of rank 9. The Samsara Temple has only 2 such reincarnators, known as its supervisors. So the Samsara Temple is going to have a 3rd supervisor. Su Ro explained. After she finished, Jian Wushuang nodded to himself. He recognized the vast strength and power needed to become a supervisor immediately. In the past, the Samsara Temple had only 2 supervisors, both of whom were also superb holy masters. Top clans like the Ancient Demon Clan and the Blood Asura clan held great respect for both in fear of offending them. None of the experts who received an invitation from the 3rd supervisor would dare refuse. The inauguration ceremony for the new supervisor will be held in 3 days. Brother, you should come with me. Su Ro said. Me? Jian Wushuang answered and nodded slightly. The supervisor is so powerful in the Samsara Temple. When I meet him, perhaps I can ask him the price to help me find my father. His father's position within the Samsara temple was quite strange. Even elders like Ding Mo weren't qualified to know about him, but a supervisor who was second only to the Void Temple Master might have the authority to search for more information. If the supervisor agreed to help, he might have a chance of finding his father. Su Ro also knew of this possibility, which was why she had offered to take him with her. I'll be here in 3 days. Jian Wushuang answered with a smile. Sounds good. Su Ro affirmed, nodding her head. We can't be the only clan invited to the inauguration ceremony. There will most likely be others and perhaps a few solitary experts as well. I suppose the ancient demon clan and the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory will also be there. You must prepare yourself for that. The ancient demon clan? The Patriarch of Empyrean Glory? Jian Wushuang smiled wickedly. The latter had an agreement with me, and with so much attention on us, he wouldn't dare to break his promise. Even if not willing to let me off, I don't think he'll fight me if I don't provoke him. As for the ancient demon clan, well, I'll take anything they throw at me. Jian Wushuang was very confident in himself. 120 years ago, he had managed to survive when the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory and the ancient demon clan hunted him down. 120 years later, he was stronger and naturally more confident as well. Just as Su Ro said, the invitation to the inauguration ceremony in Samsara Temple was sent to many other clans including the ancient demon clan, the Python clan, the Shuefeng clan, and other huge forces in the Samsara continent as well as a number of solitary experts. All the clans and experts were stunned when they received the invitation. The supervisor of the Samsara Temple was extraordinary. The clans and solitary experts had hardly received their invitations before they were already rushing to prepare. In the Python clan, one of the 4 peak populations, there's going to be another supervisor of the Samsara Temple? The clan leader of the Python clan demanded of a crowd of experts. A supervisor. That's much more powerful than an elder. The Samsara Temple has at least 20 inner elders, some of whom were replaced. The 2 supervisors have remained unchanged for so many years. Now there's going to be the 3rd one. This must be something big. Prepare some lavish gifts to bring to the ceremony in 3 days. In the Shuefeng clan, another of the 4 peak populations, the supervisors of the Samsara Temple have great power. Even though they often stay out of the concerns of the masses and fights between different clans, their influence is still unparalleled. They can ruin things we've worked toward for years with a single word. But they can also improve us at a snap of their fingers. Now that our clan is the weakest among 4 the peak populations and we failed to create a friendship with the first 2 supervisors of the Samsara Temple, we must build a strong relationship with the new supervisor. Even if we fail to make him like us, we shouldn't make him angry with us. 3 great elders and I will set out in 3 days. A supervisor? The Patriarch of Empyrean Glory also received the invitation from Samsara Temple. And even he, who is used to being unruly and unrestrained, left for the divine monster territory with 2 of his protectors. Chapter 1060, Tit for Tat. Chapter 1060, Tit for Tat. In the starless city of the divine monster territory. The inauguration ceremony for the 3rd supervisor of the Samsara Temple would be held in the starless city, the busiest city in divine monster territory. The city was filled to the brim with traveling experts and was heavily guarded. More than half of the top experts throughout the Samsara continent had gathered in the city. Everyone who had received an invitation had to come to pay their respects, even some uncivilized ones such as the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory. Experts from all parties had gathered, in the large camp at the center of the starless city. Among them were experts from the 4 top clans, including the ancient demon clan, the Python clan and the Shuefeng clan. Most of the representatives that came were the best in their clans. In addition, the clan leaders of the Python clan and the Blood Phoenix clan brought with them lavish gifts. The strongest expert of the ancient demon clan didn't come, but 2 of their holy masters were present. The 2 were Holy Master Dong Ming and Holy Master Lei Yi. The ancient demon clan actually sent 2 holy masters for this. Experts from all parties in the camp couldn't help staring. Among all the clans in the Samsara continent, only the ancient demon clan and the Blood Asura clan had 2 holy masters. The Python clan and the Sufeng clan had only 1 holy master each, even tough they were both top clans. This difference was huge. Holy Master Lei the madman. Holy Master Lei willingly wandered in the impasse for thousands of years. I didn't expect to see him here. The experts were all gossiping to each other, and the focus of some of the whispering was on the red-haired elder of the ancient demon clan, whose gaze was sharp as an eagle's. He was Holy Master Lei, who became a famous top expert many years ago. In terms of strength, Holy Master Lei was more powerful than Holy Master Dongming, and among the 3 Holy Masters of the ancient demon clan, he ranked the second. Suddenly, whoosh! 3 men fell from the sky and landed in the camp. Their sudden appearance captured everyone's attention. There was a young red-robed man with a long sword strapped to his back, a black-robed girl with a gorgeous face and a large man with a figure like a bear. As a holy master, the strong man was the most powerful of the 3. He, however, walked in the back respectfully. The young man with the long sword and the black-robed girl walked ahead of him, shoulder to shoulder. They're with the Blood Asura clan. The girl is the Holy Emperor of the Asuras. Holy Emperor of the Asuras rules the Blood Asura clan. She isn't very powerful, but she has awakened the Eye of Asura, which allows her to control many experts. The Holy Master behind her is under her control. She controls the Holy Master? That's impressive. Who is the man by her side? He can't be Jianghu Shuang? Yes, it is Jianghu Shuang. Everyone's gaze turned to the red-robed man with the long sword at those cries. Their interest in the mysterious Jianghu Shuang was so strong that they even ignored Su Ro, the Holy Emperor of the Asuras. That's Jianghu Shuang? The man who shook the entire divine monster territory? He's said to be of merely eternal realm, but he managed to survive a joint attack by the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory and Holy Master Dongming of the ancient demon clan. Holy Emperor of the Asuras helped him, true, but he was still alive after being hit by the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory 3 times. Do you know the Ninth Sword Dao Master of the ancient demon clan? He was captured alive by Jian Wuxiang and hasn't been released yet. A heated discussion continued. Jian Wuxiang and Su Ro heard them and smiled secretly, but otherwise they had no reaction. Jian Wuxiang. In a corner of the camp, the Patriarch of Empyrean Glory, dressed in a black robe, clenched his fists and glared at Jian Wuxiang, veins throbbing on his forehead. He was desperate to avenge his son. If he was strong enough, he would kill Jian Wuxiang. Unfortunately, he tried to kill Jian Wuxiang 120 years ago and failed. He knew killing Jian Wuxiang would be too much to hope for now. Also, due to their agreement, he had no choice but to let go of his hatred. So now, even though every bone in his body told him to, he didn't attack Jian Wuxiang. On the other side of the camp, Holy Master Lei and Holy Master Dongming from the ancient demon clan spied Jian Wuxiang. Holy Master Lei strode toward him first. Holy Master Dongming frowned and followed. You are Jian Wuxiang? Holy Master Lei asked in a cold and deep voice. He wasn't asking loudly, but his dangerous tone cut through all the other voices in the camp. The whole place fell silent. Everyone turned to look at him. Jian Wuxiang and Su Ro stopped in their tracks. Jian Wuxiang looked up at the man standing in front of him. A red-haired man stared at him coldly with burning eyes. Brother, he's Holy Master Lei from the ancient demon clan. Speaking of strength, he's more powerful than Holy Master Dongming and Lin Li. He also has a violent temper. Su Ro said in a low voice. Are you from the ancient demon clan? Jian Wuxiang said smilingly. Experts on the looked on at the scene with confused expressions. It's Holy Master Lei. I know it's him. He's famous for his violent temper. He is the most irritable among 3 holy masters of the ancient demon clan. When I saw him here, I knew things were going to get interesting. Jian Wuxiang has kept Ninth Sword Dao Master in captivity for over 100 years, but the ancient demon clan hasn't responded yet. Based on Holy Master Lei's temper, he'll do nothing. Let's just watch. Other experts watched this with amusement as well, and no one had any plans to step in. Boy, I'm asking you something. The Holy Master glared at Jian Wuxiang and demanded, Aren't you that low-born bastard Jian Wuxiang with a dirty bloodline? Are you the son of an insignificant slut from the ancient world? Chapter 1061, Celestial Master Lei. Chapter 1061, Celestial Master Lei. You're Jian Wuxiang, that little low-born bastard with weak bloodline and the son of an insignificant man from the ancient world. Celestial Master Lei Yi's cold words, obviously meant to humiliate Jianghu Shuang, echoed throughout the drill ground. The experts present were immediately swept into an uproar. They never expected Lei Yi to respond with such insulting words. The atmosphere instantly turned tense. Jianghu Shuang's eyes turned icy cold. He raised his head to stare at Lei Yi. "Old man, what did you just say? Didn't you hear me? Let me repeat myself." Lei Yi sneered before slowing down. "I called you little bias." He did not even finish his sentence. Bang! The ground under Jianghu Shuang's feet disintegrated as he leaped into the air. Out of the blue, Lei Yi found himself surrounded by a terrifyingly strong killing intent. A chilly, whistling wind penetrated his skin. He could already feel the stinging pain on his face. Instead of panicking, he appeared delighted at this scene. "Ah, what an idiot. We're now at the inauguration ceremony for the new supervisor. Here am I wondering how to kill him, but he's the one who's starting the fight. This means the supervisor can't blame me even if I kill him. After all, I need to defend myself." Lei Yi sniggered as a purple long spear appeared in his hand. The purple thunderbolt gathered around his spear. The thunderbolt, rolling and beating, gave off the dreadful and deadly aura. Lei Yi's eyes glinted as he watched Jianghu Shuang approach and then directly thrust his spear at the latter. This move awakened countless purple thunderbolts that flowed frantically in the air, tearing apart the void around them. The thunderbolts continued to gather and form a huge purple dragon with a wave of Lei Yi's spear. The dragon let out low howls and pounced on Jianghu Shuang with its jaw wide open. Heaven's bane. Killing intent continued to gush out of Jianghu Shuang's body. The sword essence that soared into the sky and the power of three-sword principle gathered in his sword. He then furiously swung his sword. The earth cracked, the void shattered, and a tremendous black hole appeared. The black hole expanded as it ruthlessly devoured everything around it. The experts on the drill ground were taken aback after seeing the sword light and black hole and swiftly stepped back to keep their distance from the battle. Boom! That ferocious dragon once again clashed with Jianghu Shuang's sword strike. It was as if two stars had collided. When the two powers collided, horrible waves and air currents frantically swept out in all directions. The powers clashed violently the moment the sword shadow met the huge dragon made out of purple thunderbolts. No one could predict the outcome of this battle. Finally, the dragon divided into innumerable thunderbolts that quickly dispersed. When the dragon disappeared, Jianghu Shuang's sword shadow also completely lost its power. Humph! Jianghu Shuang stepped forward, his eyes glinting with killing intent. He crossed tens of thousands of miles with a single step, bringing him in front of Lei Yi once again. Death Shadow. Jianghu Shuang made a low bellow. The crisp echo of the sword resounded, the sound as entrancing and melodious as water drops falling on the bamboo trees in the mountains. A flash of sword light followed instantly. What's this? Lei Yi frowned. The moment he heard the echo of the sword, he detected that a terrifying consciousness attack was coming for him. Not only was this consciousness attack quiet, but it was also overwhelming. There were 3 of them in total. The attacks landed on Lei Yi the same time, each one stronger than the one before it. Lei Yi was a genuine celestial master with an iron will. Even so, his speed diminished significantly after the 3 consecutive consciousness attacks struck him. When the beautiful sword shadow came, he could barely raise his spear and put it in front of himself. Clang! The low sound of a collision resounded. Lei Yi took a step backward. What a strange strike. Lei Yi was rather horrified. That blow is weird indeed. It consisted of 3 consciousness attacks that affect me silently. Fortunately, I have a strong will, or I would have already been killed by his consciousness attacks and sword shadow. How could he easily withstand my heaven's bane and death shadow? Jianghu Shuang wondered in surprise. Jianghu Shuang had made great progress in his sword principles and swordsmanship after cultivating in the Blood Asura clan for 120 years. Not only did he create the powerful and terrifying bladed surge, but he also greatly improved the power of Heaven's Bane and Death Shadow. For instance, he had improved Heaven's Bane so that it was now stronger and swifter. Death Shadow, on the other hand, had become even stranger, quieter, and faster. In addition, Death Shadow's consciousness attack had increased from 1 attack to 3. His consciousness attack was previously hidden in the sword light, whereby his enemy would suffer the attack only after seeing the sword light. Now his attack was contained in the sword echo and could take effect even without the sword light. Coupled with his current strength of 3-star Imperial Kinsman Ancient God and the power of his 3-sword principles, the two techniques that he unleashed were certainly terrifyingly powerful. Yet Lei Yi still managed to ward them off with ease. Kill? Jian Wushuang's gaze turned razor-sharp. Under the rapt attention of many experts, he launched another strike with an even stronger killing intent. Humph! Brat, don't think too highly of yourself. With a deafening roar, another purple long spear emerged in Lei Yi's hand. He now had 2 purple long spears in hand, each of them surrounded by countless purple thunderbolts. Chapter 1062 Defeated. Chapter 1062, Defeated. Bang! Jian Wushuang once again exchanged blows with Celestial Master Lei Yi on the drill ground. The battle between two men who possessed the strength of a Celestial Master had caused significant damage to the ground. The remaining wave had a terrifyingly destructive power. The surface of drill ground was lifted as if doomsday had arrived. Go to hell. Lei Yi waved his 2 purple spears at the same time, and the enormous purple thunderbolt turned into thunderclouds that immediately covered thousands of miles. Soon, the thunderclouds moved toward Jian Wushuang. Break! Jian Wushuang turned into a powerful, sharp sword. Unleashing his strong sword essence, he pulled out his Blood Mountain sword and used the Heaven's Bane. Bang! 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 The explosive sounds of a frightening roar and energy colliding resounded continuously in the void. This time, a great number of experts from the influential clans had come to attend the inauguration ceremony of the new supervisor. They now watched the battle unfold with a startled look. No one expected that Jian Wushuang would dare start a fight at the ceremony. Moreover, he was just an Eternal Realm expert whose opponent was a famous Celestial Master. They were evidently not at the same level, but he still dared to attack Lei Yi without hesitation. What a brave lad. The crowd admired Jian Wushuang's courage. He was even more unruly than Patriarch of Empyrean Glory. Proud and unruly as Patriarch of Empyrean Glory was, he wouldn't dare to take the initiative to challenge a Celestial Master while still in the Eternal Realm. Not only did Jian Wushuang dare make the first attack, but he also managed to frighten the rest with his overwhelming power. Celestial Master. His battle strength must have reached the level of a Celestial Master. Oh God! To think that an Eternal Realm expert and a Celestial Master would be so well matched that neither can gain the upper hand. Could I be dreaming? Most of the experts couldn't help expressing their amazement. They could hardly believe what they were witnessing. They had been shocked when they learned that Jian Wushuang was still alive after taking 3 blows from Patriarch of Empyrean Glory. Shocked as they were, they could accept it, for they had assumed that Jian Wushuang survived thanks to the protection of some treasure with incredible defensive power. The only thing that battle could prove was that Jian Wushuang had a knack for staying alive. No one recognized his real strength in that battle. Today, however, he fought Lei Yi head-on and didn't fall into a state of disadvantage. This indicated that he had acquired the battle strength of a Celestial Master. The strength of an Eternal Realm expert rivals a Celestial Master's. The experts were in disbelief. That brat! Patriarch of Empyrean Glory narrowed his eyes and clenched his fists tighter. Many experts turned to look at him with complicated glances. Patriarch of Empyrean Glory had tried to kill Jian Wushuang 120 years ago, but the latter remained alive after suffering 3 of his full-strength blows. News of their battle had long been spread far and wide. Back then, Jian Wushuang hadn't been a worthy opponent for Patriarch of Empyrean Glory. The latter had known that Jian Wushuang was just at the level of rank 3 Dao Master, close to a common Dao Master's strength at most. Yet look at what Jian Wushuang was capable of right now. Jian Wushuang had gained the battle strength of a real Celestial Master in 120 years, his power reaching the middle level. Lei Yi had strong battle strength among the Celestial Masters after all. He's terrifying. This kid's talent is too terrifying. Patriarch of Empyrean Glory sighed with emotion. Jian Wushuang remained locked in a fierce battle with Lei Yi on the battlefield. He appeared in front of Lei Yi as abruptly as a ghost, his eyes glinting. Then he furiously thrust his sword. A terrifying force tore the space ruthlessly. What? Lei Yi frowned. He could sense that this strike was much more powerful than the one before it. Is he using his unique skill? Lei Yi sneered as he thrust his 2 purple spears straight toward the sky. A sharp sound of an explosion immediately reverberated. This was Lei Yi's strongest technique, Thunder Explosion. Bang! The earth trembled and things fell silent. The space where the two forces met had already shattered. Humph! The overwhelming power penetrated his blood-killing plate armor, and whatever power remained entered his body. He felt his internal qi and blood running wild and subsequently spat out a mouthful of blood. Jian Wushuang's eyes remained grim, displaying the anger deep within. Explode! With a fierce roar, Jian Wushuang triggered the power concealed in his sword. The power burst out and formed a second layer of strength. Oh no! There was a dramatic change in Lei Yi's expression. The terrifying power hit him instantaneously, causing him to tremble violently and spit out blood. His aura diminished sharply as he was forced backward, making him a pathetic sight to behold. This breathtaking fight that lasted for only several breaths finally came to an end. Lei Yi had retreated to the very edge of the drill ground. He started at Jian Wushuang in awe as he clutched his chest. Jian Wushuang still wore a cold look. The outcome astounded the experts from different clans. It was shocking enough Jian Wushuang and Lei Yi had been equally matched, but now it was evident that Jian Wushuang had defeated Celestial Master Lei Yi. Their astonishment was beyond words. To think that an Eternal Realm expert beat a Celestial Master in the field. This was an explosive and shocking piece of news. Fortunately, I had not desperately wanted him dead. I couldn't take his life then, but now he can definitely kill me. Patriarch of Empyrean Glory mused as he stared fixedly at Jian Wushuang. He had completely given up on the thought of avenging his son. Suddenly, an angry voice resounded. "What are you doing?" Several figures came flying toward them from a distance. They were experts from the Samsara Temple, including two elders. Jian Wushuang recognized one of them to be Ding Mo. Now that the experts from the Samsara Temple had arrived, they could no longer continue their fight. The other experts continued to give Jian Wushuang strange looks. After all, he was the one who started the fight. What's going on? Ding Mo stood in the center of the field, looking around the drill ground with a frown. His gaze eventually settled on Jian Wushuang and Lei Yi. Jian Wushuang, Celestial Master Lei Yi, please explain yourselves. Chapter 1063 Supervisor. Chapter 1063, Supervisor. Jian Wushuang, Celestial Master Lei Yi, please explain yourselves. Silence fell over the drill ground after Ding Mo finished speaking. The experts present waited to see what would happen next. The pale-faced Lei Yi shot Jian Wushuang a cold glare before gritting his teeth and saying, "Elder Ding Mo, the crowd can be my witness. Jian Wushuang was the one who attacked me first." "Is that true?" Ding Mo turned to Jian Wushuang. "I'm the one who attacked first," Jian Wushuang said, acknowledging his fault in an indifferent voice. There was nothing worth denying over. This was the truth. "Jian Wushuang, you started a fight and reduced the drill ground to ruins in the inauguration ceremony of our new supervisor. How dare you belittle our supervisor and Samsara Temple like this?" Ding Mo asked in a reproachful tone. While Ding Mo admired Jian Wushuang's talent, he couldn't just turn a blind eye to what he had done. Today, Jian Wushuang's rash act did offend their new supervisor. "I did act recklessly today. I'd like to pay for what I have done." Jian Wushuang apologized with a serious expression as he looked at Ding Mo, "But I'd never regret my actions. Since I now have the intention to kill, I'll never quit until I die." "Celestial Master Lei Yi, I might not be able to end your life in the inauguration ceremony today, but remember that I'll go after you once the ceremony is over. I'll hunt you down wherever you run and hack you into 10,000 pieces. Even if you hide in the ancient demon clan forever, I'll wait until I become a Dao Master and slaughter the clan to find you. When that happens, you'll be as good as dead." Jian Wushuang's words that were full of strong killing intent reverberated throughout the drill ground. It startled the experts from the different forces. Lei Yi's face turned pale. He hadn't taken Jian Wushuang seriously before their fight, and his words earlier were intended to humiliate the latter. More importantly, he had wanted to agitate Jian Wushuang so that he could get a chance to take him out. He did manage to infuriate Jian Wushuang enough to attack him. His plan had succeeded. But he was surprised to find Jian Wushuang to be this strong. Jian Wushuang had defeated him in a direct confrontation. He couldn't help quaking in his boots after hearing Jian Wushuang's threat. Jian Wushuang's strength was above his, and to make things worse, he also had great potential. If such a dangerous man made up his mind to pursue him, it would definitely be his nightmare. "Hunt me down? You better worry about how to save yourself after offending our supervisor in public. Did you think you can easily placate him? Lei snorted. He was an irritable and conceited person. He might fear Jian Wushuang, but he was unwilling to bow down to him. Jian Wushuang, no one can challenge the supervisor's prestige, Ding Mo added. Of course it depends upon his mood. If he's in a good mood, he'll spare you with just an apology. Otherwise he might just take your life in a fit of anger. Take care. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes but showed no anxiety on his face. He was stronger now. Even if the supervisor did not forgive him, he could still keep himself safe. He did not have to act cowardly now that he was equipped with profound cultivation and skills. Besides, it was Celestial Master Lei Yi who pushed his buttons. Little low-born bastard with weak bloodline, the son of nobody from the ancient world. Not only did he humiliate me, but he also degraded my father. He deserves to die. Jian Wushuang growled. Just then. Here comes the supervisor. The sudden loud sound caused a commotion in the drill ground. Most of the experts looked in the direction of the voice. So did Jian Wushuang and Lei. The supervisor is here. I'd like to see how this fellow dies. Lei snorted. A silver-haired man, escorted by dozens of golden-robed servants and 2 elders, slowly walked up to them. He was dressed in a rugged indigo-colored robe and emanated no special aura. He appeared utterly ordinary upon first glance. Many experts were surprised when they saw the man in the indigo-colored robe. Such a distinguished temperament. How unworldly. Is he the new supervisor of the Samsara Temple? He's extraordinary as expected. These experts had met countless big shots in their life, and the moment they saw the indigo-robed man, they could tell that he was a remarkable figure. His disposition distinguished him from the rest. He looked aloof, as if he was completely removed from any worldly affairs. The insignificant mortals, overlords, experts or celestial masters from the Samsara continent seemed to make no difference to him. His exceeding composure was far beyond anyone's reach. The indigo-robed man who stood in the center of the drill ground was on the receiving end of the crowd's attention. With a wave of his hand, a black throne emerged out of thin air behind him. He took a seat in a carefree manner and looking at the crowd with his profound eyes. Those met his eyes were left in awe. The man was able to make others yield to him with his indifference and unworldly disposition without taking action or deliberately emanating his aura. I heard that this new supervisor is the source of many legends and that it took him only some 2,000 years to reach the 9th phase of reincarnator. He's the only one to achieve that in such a short amount of time. Only 2,000 years? How is that even possible? It's true. I also heard that the Samsara Temple Master deeply favors this supervisor. Rumors even have it that the Samsara Temple Master has taken him as his personal disciple. The Samsara Temple Master's personal disciple? That's... The crowd continued discussing the new supervisor. However, the indigo-robed man wasn't interested in their compliments. He swept his gaze through the experts before finally settling on Jian Wushuang. When he found Jian Wushuang, a profound, elusive smile appeared on his face. Jian Wushuang remained still while meeting the indigo-robed man's stare. The man was the only one reflected in his eyes. Chapter 1064, Since he wants you dead, you should die. Chapter 1064, Since he wants you dead, you should die. What's going on here? The indigo-robed man smiled faintly at them, his voice drifting far and wide. My lord, Jian Wushuang and Celestial Manor Lei Yi from the ancient demon clan fought earlier, Ding Mo replied deferentially. It's Jian Wushuang who attacked me first, leaving me no choice but to defend myself. I never thought of offending you, my lord, Lei Yi immediately explained. I see. The indigo-robed man remained expressionless. He then turned to Jian Wushuang and asked, Is he telling the truth? Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. The strong killing intent that he carried skyrocketed as he continued speaking in a gloomy voice. I want him dead. Oh. The supervisor raised an eyebrow. The experts gathered on the drill ground wore complicated expressions after hearing Jian Wushuang's words. They never expected him to remain so stubborn and blurt out his thoughts in the supervisor's presence. Humph! How dare you be so audacious in front of our supervisor? You want me dead? Let's see who will die first. Lei Yi sneered. In his opinion, Jian Wushuang's stubbornness would only bring him closer to his grave. If Jian Wushuang was a little more courteous, admit his mistakes and apologize, the supervisor might consider letting him off. But now this seemed highly unlikely. He's really digging his own grave. Lei Yi's eyes turned exceptionally cold and sharp. Celestial Manor Lei Yi, the supervisor said, shifting his gaze to once again look at Lei Yi. Did you hear what Jian Wushuang said? Yes. Lei Yi nodded gravely and answered in a cold voice. My lord, Jian Wushuang acted recklessly and stirred up trouble at your inauguration ceremony. Even in your presence, he remains egotistical and shows no respect for you. He has committed an unpardonable crime. I hope that you'll inflict a strict punishment on him. He was eager to kill Jian Wushuang now. Since he dared not to ask the supervisor for an execution, he pleaded with the supervisor to inflict a severe punishment on Jian Wushuang instead. Inflict a strict punishment? The supervisor smiled, looking as if he was ruminating. Jian Wushuang remained apathetic, as if he was confident and secure in his innocence. In fact, the gaze he cast on Lei Yi appeared to carry a hint of pity. Poor man. Jian Wushuang sneered deep inside. Celestial Manor Lei Yi, the Indigo-robed man called his name again. Let's put aside the matter of inflicting a strict punishment on Jian Wushuang for the time being. I just want to know whether you heard his words. Lei Yi was stunned. He began to doubt himself. Didn't Jian Wushuang say that he wanted me dead? Of course I heard him loud and clear. The supervisor ought to have heard it as well, so why is he asking me? Confused as he was, he nodded in agreement. I heard his words. Good. That way you at least know why you're killed, the Indigo-robed man responded with a little smile. What? Celestial Manor Lei Yi was startled. The experts were similarly taken aback. Since he wants you dead, then, you should die, the Indigo-robed man answered flatly. The moment he finished his sentence, a flash of sword light appeared. The sword light was so dazzling that it attracted the attention of all the experts present. They noticed that the Indigo-robed man seemed to have turned into another person. Earlier he looked composed and gave off no special aura. Yet, his aura now was so strong and sharp that it seemed it could sabotage everything. He seemed like an invincible magic sword with an insurmountable power. In this world no one was his equal. That brilliant sword light was eye-catching. However, it moved extremely slowly despite how brilliant and dazzling it was. Yes, it was slow. On the surface, this attack appeared slow and weak. Even an Eternal Realm expert could easily dodge this attack, never mind a Celestial or Dao Master. However, the target of the sword light, Celestial Master Lei Yi, was frozen in place. He was desperate to evade the sword light, but he realized he moved too slowly to do so. He was slow, excruciatingly so. He moved even slower than the sword light. What the hell? His expression mirrored the amazement and confusion he felt deep inside. He felt an unprecedented panic and terror overpowering his emotions. He stood there, wide-eyed, as he watched the slow sword light come near. He saw it hit him before he could brandish his spear to block it. Clang! A muffled sound of collision resounded in the air, accompanying the raining of blood. Lei Yi remaining standing in place, but his life was slipping away at an amazing speed and his cultivation disappeared instantly. Soon he leaned backward and fell to the ground. Before he died, he was still in the dark as to why the new supervisor killed him instead of penalizing Jian Wushuang who had offended him. Moreover, he had been unable to see clearly the execution of the supervisor's swordsmanship. It was to the point that he didn't even know why or how the swordsmanship even killed him. The sword strike shattered his organs and flesh as well as his life core. It was impossible for him to live after such an attack. Silence fell over the drill ground. The experts stared at the dead Lei Yi, looking appalled. The sword light astounded them. That's impressive. It was unknown who made the startled exclamation. Before long, commotion broke out on the drill ground. That blow. Patriarch of Empyrean Glory looked at the indigo-robed man in shock. That strike was formidable indeed. Even I don't have enough confidence in warding off that blow. Celestial Manor Lei Yi had the honor to die at the supervisor's hands, Patriarch of Empyrean Glory muttered, shaking his head. That blow also left a deep impression on Jian Wushuang. His eyes were filled with shock and excitement. Illusion. Yes, it's an illusion. Jian Wushuang wrung his hands. The sword appeared pitifully slow, but it was actually unimaginably swift. It was even faster than when I unleashed a sword strike using the Aurora Sword principle at full strength. It was so fast that it formed an illusion and that Celestial Master Lei couldn't react in time, much less block or evade it. Thus he was immediately killed. How terrifying. Jian Wushuang was also left in awe and shock after the episode. Chapter 1065 Father and Son. Chapter 1065, Father and Son. The formidable attack left the crowd in shock. To them, perhaps the legendary sword cultivator, Sunrise Sword Emperor, was the only one in the entire Greenfire world capable of surpassing the swordsmanship demonstrated earlier. Shocked as they were even more confused by the outcome of the events. Yes, they were confused. It was Jian Wushuang who made the first attack. He ought to be the one who offended the Supervisor. However, the Supervisor killed Celestial Master Lei instead of punishing Jian Wushuang. Just what was going on? Everyone was deeply bewildered. Lord, Celestial Master Dong Ming from the ancient demon clan trembled with fear. There were only 3 Celestial Masters out of the entire ancient demon clan, yet this new Supervisor had now killed one of them. He would have let it go if Lei truly displeased or offended the new Supervisor, but the Supervisor had clearly acted unjustly. Dong Ming was furious but didn't show it on his face. Infuriated as he was, he dared not voice it out at the thought of the Supervisor's status and power. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the Indigo-robed Man on the throne waved his hand and another throne appeared. The throne lined up exactly with his. He turned to look at Jian Wushuang. "Come here, boy," the man said gently, his voice carrying a hint of amicableness and familiarity. "Yes, father," Jian Wushuang answered, walking up to the Supervisor. Silence fell over the drill ground when everyone heard Jian Wushuang's reply. "Father?" Jian Wushuang called the Supervisor. "Father? Is this new Supervisor Jian Wushuang's father? Are you kidding me?" They were stunned. They were totally at a loss. Experts present had just received some information about the new Supervisor. The information had been confidential, but since he was now the new Supervisor, the Samsara Temple decided to reveal it. They now knew that the new Supervisor was a talent who had cultivated at an unprecedented speed in the history of the Samsara Temple. It took him a mere 2,000 years to enter the 9th phase of Reincarnator. He was also said to be the Samsara Temple Master's personal disciple. He was an eye-catching and unimaginably talented person. Jian Wushuang was even more incredible, for he was an Eternal Realm expert who defeated a Celestial Master. In terms of talent, he was definitely the best in the entire Greenfire world. He surpassed even the Supervisor. It was rare to find even a single genius like them, yet there was now 2 of them in this world, and they happened to be father and son. How could this be possible? Both father and son were outstanding men who had demonstrated their mighty strength. The scenario made them felt like they were dreaming. No wonder third brother failed to find his father no matter how hard he tried. It turns out that his father is such an extraordinary figure. Su Ro thought to herself in awe. That brat is the Supervisor's son? Patriarch of Empyrean Glory was wide-eyed with shock. Compared to his anger, he was more relieved at the thought of escaping from death. Thank God. Thank God, our issue has been resolved and I kept my word not to trouble him. Even though I've indeed hunted him down before, there should be no reason for the terrifying Supervisor to take revenge on me. I'll just apologize to him after the ceremony, Patriarch of Empyrean Glory muttered. Untamed and unruly as he wasn't self-conceited. In fact, few could take his life in the whole Greenfire world. He didn't take 4 Peak Clan seriously, for no one among them stood a chance of killing him. The Supervisor was a whole other story. Having witnessed that formidable strike, Patriarch of Empyrean Glory was sure that the Supervisor could take him out. Ignoring others' amazement, Jian Wushuang walked toward the Supervisor and took the seat beside him. You've improved a lot, boy. In such a short time, you can even defeat a Celestial Master. Jian Nantian complimented his son with a smile. I'm still lacking in many ways compared to you, father, Jian Wushuang replied with a smile. Don't compare yourself with me, for we have different experiences. Technically, you're much more excellent than me, Jian Nantian said. Oh. Jian Wushuang raised an eyebrow. Now he was full of doubts. Father's strength is far more powerful and his cultivation rate faster too. Why did he say that? Jian Wushuang, is this really your father? Gu King asked. Of course. Jian Wushuang nodded. How could he mistake someone else as his father? Whether in terms of appearance, temperament, or the sense of familiarity, Jian Wushuang was 100% sure that the one in front of him was his father. If he's your father, then things are going to be interesting, Gu King added. What do you mean? Jian Wushuang looked confused. You said that your father was born in the ancient world 2,000 years ago, where he became the reincarnator, before coming to the Samsara continent. That means he's only a little over 2,000 years old. However, from what I see, the supervisor is at least 100,000 years old. Gu King replied. What? Jian Wushuang was startled. His father was more than 10,000 years old. How was this possible? Believe me, we Plenilune clansmen are known for our self-recovery capabilities and we're exceptionally sensitive to vitality. I'm certain that your father has lived over 100,000 years, Gu King said. How is that possible? Jian Wushuang was still in disbelief. My father is just decades older than me, a little more than 2,000 years old. How could he suddenly live over 100,000 years? It's impossible. Nothing is impossible. The world is full of surprises. Gu King laughed. If I'm not mistaken, your father must have entered a magic secret land where time moves faster than the outside world. For example, 1 year in the outside world is equivalent to 100 or even 1,000 years in the secret land. It's possible. Is that so? Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened. A secret land where the time flows differently from ours? Chapter 1066, Breaking into the Heaven-Ceasing Mountain a month later. Chapter 1066, Breaking into the Heaven-Ceasing Mountain a month later. There are a great number of experts in the eternal chaotic world. Naturally, there would be many mysterious means to improve cultivation as well. One of the methods is to change the speed of time. But only very few great experts can do that. The practitioner must reach the level of the founder of the Stars clan or of King Luozhen. Besides, he needs to have high attainment in time and space. Such a powerful secret land isn't supposed to exist in the Green Fire world, Gu King said, frowning. Ever since Gu King parasitized Jian Wushuang's body, he had encountered countless descendants of the famed bloodlines in the eternal chaotic world during the latter's cultivation journey in the Green Fire world and the Samsara continent in particular. Though those descendants possessed incredibly weak bloodline, their ancestors had been truly powerful back in the day. Now, he had even discovered a powerful method of changing time flow. The more time passed, the more he found the Green Fire world to be extraordinary. Your father not only has a long lifespan but also has an unusual constitution, Gu King added. His constitution? Jian Wushuang was startled. Your father is an incredible swordsman and is even more talented than you in terms of sword principle. Apart from his inborn talent, his constitution also contributes to his fast cultivation speed. If my assumption isn't wrong, his constitution must belong to the legendary sword spirit. Constitution of sword spirit? What's that? Jian Wushuang asked. Well, it's a long story. I'll explain later, Gu King answered. Okay. Jian Wushuang agreed, for he knew now wasn't the time for their conversation. When the experts knew Jian Wushuang was the supervisor's son, they understood why he chose to kill Celestial Master Lei Yi instead. Celestial Master Dong Ming, Jian Nantian called, looking at Dong Ming with his cold, deep eyes. Dong Ming shuddered before raising his head to look at Jian Nantian in fear. Scared as he was also occupied with other thoughts. When he heard Jian Wushuang calling the supervisor father, he finally realized the identity of the Indigo-robed Man. Lei Yi had called Jian Wushuang the son of a lowborn man, and that lowborn man was none other than Jian Nantian. 2,000 years ago, the ancient demon clan belittled the father and son and almost killed them. They've now become such powerful people. One is Jian Wushuang, and the other is the supervisor of the Samsara temple. This. Dong Ming was too shocked to think more. Celestial Master Dong Ming, it has been 2,000 years. How's the one on the heaven-ceasing peak doing? Jian Nantian asked while looking at Dong Ming. Well, Dong Ming was stunned. He then nodded and said, Fine. He's fine. Jian Nantian snorted before looking away from Dong Ming. Then his majestic voice resounded in everyone's ears. Thank you for coming here to celebrate my new role as the supervisor. Today I've something to announce and hope all of you can be my witnesses. The experts present perked up their ears. Ninth Sword Dao Master of the ancient demon clan kidnapped my wife, Ji Wuming, 2,000 years ago and locked up her on the heaven-ceasing peak since. In that time I've become the reincarnator and almost gotten myself killed countless times. I've come here after experiencing all sorts of hardship. I and our child Jian Wushuang have become stronger. The time has come. It's time for us to take revenge on the ancient demon clan. My son and I will break into the heaven-ceasing peak in a month to free my wife. Whoever who gets in our way will be killed. His cold voice echoed through the drill ground. His voice that carried such firm resolution and strong killing intent frightened the crowd. Dong Ming's face turned deadly pale with fear. Jian Nantian and Jian Wushuang would break into the heaven-ceasing peak in a month. This explosive news triggered heated discussions among the crowd. Most of them had heard of the heaven-ceasing peak in the ancient demon clan. It was a forbidden area where even its clansmen stayed away from out of fear. It was said that only clansmen who committed flagrant crimes or made the clan suffer great loss would be imprisoned on the heaven-ceasing peak. How did Jian Wushuang's mother and the supervisor's wife end up being confined in the heaven-ceasing peak? Break into the heaven-ceasing peak? Will they wage an all-out war against the ancient demon clan? On the one hand, we have the ancient demon clan, the leader of the 4 peak clans in the Samsara continent. On the other hand, we have 2 geniuses from the Green Fire world, both of which have acquired the battle strength of a celestial master. The supervisor's strength is fathomless. What will happen when 2 huge forces fight each other? Oh God! Big event. This is going to be the most thrilling event in the Samsara continent. Everyone on the drill ground was swept into an uproar. Celestial Master Dong Ming, you'd better relay my words to heart-withered Celestial Master. He has a month to make a decision, Jian Nantian said, his eyes sparkling with rage. Dong Ming trembled as he looked up, giving Jian Nantian a momentary glance. He then made a bow with folded hands, turned around, and left the ceremony with his clansman and Lei Yi's body. He wore a grave expression as he left. He had come to realize just how serious things had become. If this matter was handled improperly, their clan would likely suffer heavy casualties or even get slaughtered. He could not help looking so grim. When the experts from the ancient demon clan left, Jian Nantian waved his hand again. Today is to celebrate my new role as the supervisor. Enjoy yourselves. Music followed his words and maids and servants came in, bringing in good wine and delicious food and placing them on the table. The feast must still go on despite the accident. However, the host of the feast left with Jian Wushuang after announcing his explosive decision. Inside a grand palace, the father and son sat opposite each other. Chapter 1067 Constitution of Sword Spirit. Chapter 1067, Constitution of Sword Spirit. It has been a long time. Have a drink. Jian Nantian took out a jug of wine and handed it to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang accepted the jug and took a huge swig of it without hesitation. Then he started asking his father what had happened to him in the past 2,000 years. Father, are you really the Samsara Temple Master's personal disciple? He asked curiously. Yes. Jian Nantian smiled as he continued. 1,000 years ago, Master began paying attention to me after I made great breakthrough within a short time. When I became the rank 5 reincarnator, he took me in as his personal disciple. Since then, he had patiently instructed me and even sent me to a secret land at great cost. That's how I have made such rapid progress in such a short period. I see. Jian Wushuang raised an eyebrow. I intended to go to the Void Continent to seek you after freeing your mother, but I didn't expect you to find me first, Jian Nantian said with a smile. In terms of the speed of growth, Jian Wushuang was much faster than him. He was well aware of this. Owing to his experience, he was more powerful than his son now. He had narrowly escaped death many times during the tournaments in the Samsara Temple. After becoming the Samsara Temple Master's personal disciple, he had received his master's guidance on cultivation and lots of useful resources. Yet his son had improved his strength on his own. Most importantly, he had been to the secret land. He had stayed in the secret land for 1,000 years, which was equivalent to him spending 100,000 years on his cultivation. That was the reason behind his strong power and profound swordsmanship. What about Jian Wushuang? He had traveled in the Void Continent alone and gradually enhanced his strength. In the span of over 2,000 years, he grew from a little lad from the ancient world into a well-known expert in the Green Fire world. His growth speed was much more amazing compared to his father. Jian Wushuang, your father who possesses the constitution of sword spirit, had great potential in cultivation. However, Gu Qing's regretful voice resounded in Jian Wushuang's mind. Go on. Jian Wushuang said. What's the constitution of Sword Spirit? The constitution of Sword Spirit is a rare constitution, Gu Qing replied. You know that magic weapons have spirits. Of course. Jian Wushuang responded with a little nod. He had learned that magic weapons possessed spirits, and that the higher the magic weapon ranked, the stronger its spirit was. Magic weapons all have spirits, and some high-level ones even have their own consciousness, Gu Qing explained. When magic weapons with consciousnesses realize that they're about to be destroyed, their intelligence will escape. Most of their intelligence will vanish while some will enter other magic weapons. The last case is the rarest one. The intelligence of the high-level magic weapon will enter a person's body and integrate with his flesh and consciousness. That's how the constitution of spirit comes to be. Your father belongs to the last case and thus, boasts the constitution of sword spirit. The intelligence of a magic sword must have combined with your father's body. Jian Wushuang looked amazed. Father owns the constitution of sword spirit because his body and a magic sword's intelligence have combined. Gu Qing then continued, the constitution of sword spirit is rare in the eternal chaotic world. Talent and potential in sword principle come instinctively to people with such constitution. You can even go as far as to say they're born to be a sword itself. They can easily fathom sword principles and are real sword principle geniuses. The sword spirit that entered your father's body is a high-level spirit and your father was meant to make remarkable achievements. His potential was promising though not as excellent as yours. Unfortunately, his foundation was injured when he was young, which greatly weakened his potential, Gu Qing said, shaking his head. Jian Wushuang's face darkened with disappointment. It occurred to him that his father had taken the reversal red scorching elixir to recover his strength at a critical moment in the ancient world back then. The side effect of the elixir was that his potential for cultivation would be limited and the impact of it was great on Jian Nantian. Besides, Jian Wushuang also knew that Jiuxiu had extracted one of his father's sword souls. One sword soul was the origin and foundation of his sword principle. The first sword soul which Jian Nantian had awakened was crucial to him but it was stolen by Jiuxiu. It was a great blow to him. The two consecutive injuries had greatly impaired Jian Nantian's potential in cultivation. Even so, Jian Nantian still managed to acquire such an incredible power within a short time. Obviously, he owed his impressive growth speed to his powerful sword spirit and his impressive capability. Gu Qing, is there any way to regain his lost potential? Jian Wushuang asked. No. Gu Qing shook his head. His foundation has been damaged. You know how important the foundation is. Your flawless foundation contributes to your unlimited potential for cultivation. But your father. The potential for cultivating cannot be rehabilitated. Even if his potential has been greatly weakened, he with the constitution of sword spirit is enough to impress. I can tell you with certainty that your father is destined to reach the level of Samsara Temple Master and Void Temple Master. Moreover, he'd be superior to his peers of the same level. However, that's all he could do. It's unrealistic for him to go beyond that. I see. Jian Wushuang nodded, feeling disappointed. Jian Nantian's foundation had been hurt when he was in the ancient world. There was no way of recovering it. He was doomed not to be able to stand at the summit of the eternal chaotic world. However, he could easily reach the top of the green fire world. Suddenly, Jian Nantian asked him, Shuanger, do you know why I chose to break into the heaven-ceasing peak in a month? Why? Jian Wushuang blurted out. It'll be 2,100 years since she was taken away from us on the last day of next month. I clearly remember that. I've never forgotten that she was captured, not even for a moment. His father clasped his hands, his eyes filled with fury. Jian Wushuang was astounded. Those whose strength has reached my level tend to ignore the lapsing of the time. Take me for example. I don't even remember my age. Yet father still remembers that. Chapter 1068 Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm. Chapter 1068 Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm. For 2,100 years, father has remembered the date on which mother was abducted. It shows how important mother is to father, Jian Wushuang thought to himself in amazement. 1 month. There is only 1 month left. Jian Nantian exclaimed. Jian Nantian took a sip of his wine, his vision turning sharper. Menger, I'll pick you up in a month and then our family will be reunited. I will go to Mother's rescue in a month's time, Jian Wushuang said, his eyes glistening with resolution. While Jian Wushuang was conversing with Jian Nantian, the ancient demon clan had fallen into a state of chaos. As one of the 4 greatest clans on Samsara continent, the powerful ancient demon clan rarely experienced distress from any happenings. Today, however, the news of Holy Master Lei Yi's death and Jian Nanshan's and Jian Wushuang's plans to break into Heaven-Ceasing Peak put the entire ancient demon clan into a state of rage and astonishment. There were only 3 Dao masters in the whole of ancient demon clan. The killing of one of them expectedly infuriated the ancient demon clansmen. Beyond their fury, they were astounded. Majority of the ancient demon clan seniors had gathered in the solemn and sizable palace. There were 3 black thrones in the palace hall. 2 were occupied by the 2 remaining holy masters in the clan Dong Ming and Heart Withered, the latter of whom was the strongest in the clan. The 3rd throne belonged to Holy Master Lei Yi. Since he had died, his throne was empty. And that is what happened. Holy Master Dong Ming quickly summarized what had happened at the inauguration ceremony. After finishing his words, he swept his glance over the crowd. Upon hearing Holy Master Dong Ming's words, all the experts present wore a grave look. Are you saying that the new supervisor of Samsara Temple is my disciple's husband? The husband that she found in the ancient world? And that well-known Jian Wushuang is their son? Holy Master Heart Withered broke the silence with his solemn voice. Yes, Holy Master Dong Ming nodded. It can't be. Heart Withered narrowed his eyes. He could not believe this fact. It has been a mere 2,000 years since my disciple returned from ancient world. At that time, both Jian Nantian and Jian Wushuang were as powerless as ants. I will not doubt it if only one of them had made great progress within this 2,000 years. But it's unbelievable that both of them have progressed into outstanding experts. It's hard to believe, but it's true, Holy Master Dong Ming responded with a frown. Jian Nantian declared before the experts that he and his son would break into Heaven-Ceasing Peak and spare no mercy to anyone who dared to get in their way. We ought to think of a plan to deal with this father-son duo. Holy Master Heartwithered's face darkened with worry. Based on what Holy Master Dong Ming has just said, Jian Nantian and Jian Wushuang alone was able to defeat Lei Yi. Within the whole ancient demon clan, only I can bring him down. Jian Nantian is even more powerful than Jian Wushuang, and he will arrive in a month's time. Dong Ming, are you sure that Jian Nantian took Lei Yi's life with only one strike of his sword? Holy Master Heart Withered asked, raising his eyebrow. Yes, I am sure. I am not the only one who witnessed the scene. All the experts present did too. Jian Nantian launched only one strike with his sword, and a strange one at that. The strike looked slow and weak, but it killed Lei Yi before he could even defend himself, Holy Master Dong Ming replied. A slow and weak blow? Holy Master Heart Withered repeated, his forehead wrinkling into a deeper frown. The sword principle he created must be incredibly powerful. With the integration of his 3 sword principles, his dermic form of invincibility became exceptionally overwhelming. Judging from what you said, he most probably have reached the level of the Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm. Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm? Do you mean that he is as strong as you are? Holy Master Dong Ming asked, looking astounded. The Holy Master's strength varied. The type of sword principles cultivated and the number of integrated principles divided the Holy Masters into several different strength levels. The Holy Masters of the elementary level were the weakest. They could barely integrate 2 principles and attain the dermic form of invincibility. Blood Asura clan's great elder Lin Li and Holy Master Ape of the 3 big countries were at this level. The elementary level was the lowest level which a Holy Master could belong to. Then there is the intermediate level. Most of the Holy Masters at this level could integrate 2 principles, which were usually of heaven or earth level. Sometimes, one of the principles might even be of a creation level. Holy Masters who were able to integrate principles of higher levels were able to attain stronger dermic forms of invincibility. Xia clan's founder Xia Yong, who was slayed by Jian Wushuang in Tang of the East, and ancient demon clan's Holy Masters Dong Ming and Lei Yi belonged to the intermediate level. Following the intermediate level was the advanced level. Holy Masters of the advanced level had integrated either 2 principles of the creation level or 3 normal principles. The Patriarch of Empyrean Glory was an advanced Holy Master with exceptional strong power. The strongest Holy Masters of all belonged to the Holy Master of the Exceptional Realm. Holy Master Heart Withered of the ancient demon clan and Su Rose Master Su Qian, the most powerful being in Blood Asura clan, were at this level. Holy Masters of this level had integrated 3 principles, and at least one of the principles is of the creation level. After being informed on how Jian Nantian had killed Lei Yi, Holy Master Heart Withered figured that Jian Nantian possessed the strength of Holy Master of the exceptional realm. Huge gaps exist among Holy Masters and experts of different levels. To kill a Holy Master of the intermediate level, such as Holy Master Dong Ming, with a single strike of the sword, one must at least have the battle strength of Holy Master of the exceptional realm. Even Holy Master Heart Withered had no absolute confidence in taking Holy Master Dong Ming out in one blow. You mentioned that Jian Nantian has the strength of Holy Master in the exceptional realm. Do you think he can beat you? Holy Master Dong Ming asked Holy Master Heart Withered. It's hard to say, Holy Master Heart Withered replied, shaking his head. Holy Masters at different levels differ from one another in strength. Wide gaps in power exist even within the same level. Look at Sunrise Sword Emperor, the best skilled sword cultivator in the Green Fire world. He is a Holy Master, but his real battle strength remains as a mystery. Both Sunrise Sword Emperor and I have the power of Holy Master of the exceptional realm, but I could not even pluck up the courage to challenge him to a duel. Perhaps Jian Nantian is not strong enough to defeat Sunrise Sword Emperor, but since he had managed to kill Lei Yi with one blow, his power is unlikely to be weaker than mine. Only a fight between us could prove whether he is able to bring me down. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.